Hello, everyone. Welcome to another hybrid online class. Let me introduce myself. I am teacher Sri Priya from SJKT Permatang Tinggi, and I will be your moderator for today. I take this opportunity to thank the Penang State Education Department, Penang Tamil Schools Headmasters Association, our coordinators, Mr. Prabhu and Mr. Hemangandan from SJKT Ladang Jawi, and not forgetting my headmistress, Madam Tamilchelvi Velayudam, for providing me an opportunity to be part of this online teaching platform. Before I proceed further, let's look into our ground rules as usual. Are you ready, children? Number one, be prepared with your writing tools as you will be jotting down a lot of notes throughout the lesson. Rule number two, be nice in the chat box and avoid posting unnecessary emojis or messages as it might distract the others. Stay focused on the lesson. Rule number three is do not forget to key in your attendance once the attendance link is provided. Okay, it's as simple as that. All right, now it's time for me to introduce our speaker and presenter for today, and she's none other than teacher RAJESWARI Perumal from SJKT Sungai Ara. Teacher Rajesh, as she's fondly called, is an experienced language teacher, and she holds a degree in language and literature studies from University of Science, Malaysia. Currently, she's pursuing her master's degree in English language teaching at University Utara, Malaysia. Teacher Rajesh is no stranger in Penang, as she is one of the JU for CEFR, Curriculum Induction Training for Year 4 in her district. We are blessed to have her as she will be sharing her expertise with us today. I will be joining you at the end of the lesson. So till then, happy learning. Over to you, Teacher Rajesh.
Thank you, Miss Priya. Hi, everyone. Before we start, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Penang Education Department, Penang Tamil School Headmasters Association, Cisco Sendrian Berhad for their technical support, and my school headmaster, Mr. M.G. Kumar, for his support. I'm Teacher Rajesh, and today we will be looking into section B2, guided writing, and it's going to be on informal letter. Let me explain about our lesson objectives. By end of the lesson, you will be able to first understand the format, next understand the general rules, finally write an informal letter in well-crafted paragraphs. Okay, class, let me ask you something. To whom do we write an informal letter? Any idea? Yes. Informal letters are written to friends, family, relatives, and pen pals. So, today I'm going to share some tips and guidelines on informal letter writing. Okay, first, you have to read and understand the question. Second, you have to take note of your spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Third, you are allowed to use contractions such as I'm, yeah, I, there, and so on. After you have finished writing, read the whole letter to ensure the overall flow. And finally, you are advised to spend 25 minutes for this section. Okay, class. Let's go into the details of the format or layout. Okay. To write an informal letter, you have to use the correct format. Now, let's have a look at the format. Okay, class. This is the format or layout of an informal letter. As you can see here, you have your address, date, greeting, opening, content, closing, signing off, and signature. Okay, now let's go into the detail of the format or layout. Okay, the first detail will be the writer's address. Okay, class, here you have to write your address. Okay, the writer's address is written at the top right hand corner. If you can see the example, I've written the address at the top right hand corner. Okay, there's a comma after each line. Okay, don't forget to put a comma after each line, as you can see in the example. And there's a full stop at the end of the address. Okay, when you complete your address, make sure to put a full stop. Okay, you can include the name of your state, for example, Perak, if you are writing to someone in another state. Let's say you are writing to your friend who is in Johor. So you can include the name of your state in your address. And you can also include the name of your country, Malaysia, if you are writing to someone in overseas. For example, if you are a friend from Singapore, you can state your country in your address. Okay. Next, you have to write the date. Okay. As you can see in this example, write the date below the address. Okay. Make sure you use the correct spelling of month when you write the date. Okay, and you can write the date in different ways. Okay, there are different ways of writing the date. Here I'm going to show you two examples. First, you can write 1st July 2021, or you can write July 1st 2021. Okay, you can choose the way you like to write the date. Okay, now once you have written the date, let's look at the greeting or salutation. Okay, as for the greeting or salutation, usually it is written one line below the date, and it should be on the left hand of the page and ended by the comma. Okay, the salutation used depends on how close you are to the person you are writing to. Okay, for example, dear. Okay, dear is the most often used and always correct. You can use it for anyone from your mother to a new pen pal. For example, let's say you have a pen pal called Sam. You can write Dear Sam. Okay, for the second one, my dear. Okay, my dear is used If you have a close relationship with someone like your family or best friend, let's say you are writing the letter to your best friend, you can start with my dear. Okay? And the last one, dearest or my dearest. And here, dearest or my dearest are usually used only for people you love. Okay, children, the word love refers to your family members. For example, your mother, father, grandmother, or people who are close to your heart. And let's have a look at the example. Okay, once you have written your address, you write the date and followed by the greeting or salutation. Okay, okay class, let's move on to the opening remarks. How do you write an opening remark for an informal letter? Usually, we will start by asking about the well-being of the receiver. Okay, here you can see few examples of opening remarks that you can use for your letter. Okay, the first example would be, how are you? I hope you are in the pink of health. Okay, the second example is, how's everyone in the family? Okay, third, this letter will probably come as a surprise to you. Okay, let's say you are replying to a letter. Then you can start your letter with, thank you for your interesting letter. Or, I received your letter yesterday or a few days ago. You also can write, what a surprise. It's really good to hear from you. And lastly, I'm really glad to hear from you. So children, remember, when you write the opening remark, your opening remark should be short and sweet. Okay? You can use one of these examples given. Okay, once your opening remark is done, you can start writing your content. Okay, how can you start writing your content? Okay, you can use simple sentence, depends to the question. Okay, here are some examples to start writing your content. Okay, you can start writing your content by writing, I would like to tell you. I'm writing to tell you about. Let's say in your letter, if you're suggesting something, you can write, I suggest you should. Or if you are sharing some tips, you can write, I want to share a few tips about. So, your starting will be based on the questions. Okay? Now, have a look at this example. Okay? When you look at this example, okay, here the starting is, how are you? I hope you are in the pink of health. I'm writing to tell you about. Okay, for example, I'm writing to tell you about my trip to Malacca with my school's history club. Okay, and usually this sentence is taken from the question. Okay, now let's look at the closing remark. Okay, as for the closing remark, you have to write your final say. Okay, so your closing remark should be short and that will be your final say. For example, that will be all for now. I shall write again when I have the time. Do write soon. I hope to hear from you soon. Okay, or do write again when you have the time. Okay, so as I said before, the final say or the closing remark should be short and sweet. Okay, let's move to the ending or signing off. The final part of your letter will be the ending or signing off. Okay, the ending is written below the closing remarks on the right hand side of the page. Okay, the ending depends on whom you are writing to. Okay, let's say you are writing your letter to your family member or a relative. You can end your letter with yours affectionately, yours lovingly, or your son. And if you are writing to your friends or pen pals, you should end with yours sincerely or your friend. Okay, so that will be your signing off. Okay, and now your name or signature is written below the ending. Okay, if you can see this example, okay, your friend is your signing off and Rina is your name or signature. So make sure you write your name or signature below the ending. Okay, class? Now, this is the most important part of an informal letter, the content. Okay? If you want to write a good paragraph for your content, a good paragraph of content should consist of a main idea and also a supporting detail. Always remember, when you write your paragraph, you should write the main idea and then followed by the supporting detail. Okay, and make sure your supporting detail explains the main idea by providing details and examples. Okay, your supporting idea here must provide details or examples about your main idea. Okay, and a good paragraph also should contain concluding sentence. Okay, concluding sentence summarizes the main idea of the paragraph and usually it is written in a single sentence using your own words. The last sentence in a paragraph should not introduce any new ideas. Okay, always remember that the last sentence in your paragraph should not introduce any new ideas. Okay, you may use linking words, okay, such as so, therefore, and hence. Okay, when we talk about a good composition, okay, a good composition should have a good organization of paragraphs. Okay, how do you organize your paragraphs? Okay, first, your composition should have the introduction, okay, and followed by the body, and finally the conclusion. Okay, so always keep in mind when you write your content, you should have a main idea followed by a supporting detail, and you must organize your paragraphs well. Okay, now have a look at this question and observe the map given. Okay, the question says write an informal letter to your friend telling him about your trip to Malacca with your school's history club. Give him the details of at least 3 places you visited. Write your answer between 50 to 80 words. Okay, so if you look at this question, okay, you already have read the question. Now, you must identify the keywords. Okay, for that, you can follow the following steps. Okay, first, you have to identify the format. Second, define the target of your writing, to whom you are writing to, and identify the content. Okay, we also can call these steps as the FTC steps. Okay, remember these 3 letters. Okay, FTC. F stands for the format, and T is your target, and C is your content. If you look at the question, okay, write an informal letter to your friend telling him about your trip to Malacca with your school's history club. So the word an informal letter is the keyword for the format. So when you read the question, make sure you underline the keywords. For you to identify the keywords, follow these FTC steps. Okay? And number 2, you have to define your target. Okay? So here, your target is your friend. You are going to write your letter to your friend. Okay? Now, you have to identify the content. Okay? What are you going to write about? So here, you are going to write about the places you visited. Okay? So always follow the FTC steps to identify the keywords. Okay? The format, the target, and the content. Okay? Okay, class. Before we move on to the next step, let's do an activity. Okay? So here I want you to read the question and identify the keywords by following the FTC steps. Let's have a look at the question. Okay, question 1. Write an informal letter to your sister who is studying in a residential school about the mobile library. Tell her at least 3 benefits as a member of the mobile library. Write your answer between 50 to 80 words. Okay, children, I'll give you about 1 minute to identify the keywords following the FTC steps. Can you do that now? Let's try. Okay, you can type your answers in the chat box. Okay. Okay, Lakshan, your sister. F for informal letter. T, your sister. 3 benefits as a member of the mobile library. Venisha Venugopal. Okay. Okay, well done, children. Most of you got the correct keywords. Now, let's have a look at the keywords. Okay. Write an informal letter to your sister who is studying in a residential school about the mobile library. Tell her at least 3 benefits as a member of the mobile library. Write your answer between 50 to 80 words. Okay, if you can see here, the word informal letter is the format. Okay, and let's move to the target. Here in this question, your sister will be the target. And for the content, you are going to write about the benefits. Okay, let's move to the second question. Okay, I have another question for you. Try to identify the keywords by following the FTC steps. Okay, question 2. Your cousin would like to go for a holiday at a resort. She wants to know what activities can be done over there. Write an informal letter telling her about at least 3 activities she can do if she stays at Hill Park Resort. Write your answer between 50 to 80 words. Okay, children? So here's another question for you to identify the keywords. Okay? Don't forget to use the FTC steps. You can type your answers in the chat box. Any idea? Okay. F for informal letter, T for your cousin, C activities. Hari Sudarshini Gunalan. Good job. Okay, Riyashini Kumaran. F for informal letter, T for your cousin, and C 3 activities. Okay, Lakshandan Ganeshan. F for informal letter, T your cousin, and C activities. Okay, good job, children. Most of you got the correct keywords. Now, let's have a look at the keywords. Okay, as you can see here, your cousin would like to go for a holiday at a resort. She wants to know what activities can be done over there. Write an informal letter. Okay, that is the keyword for format. Okay, so here the format is an informal letter. And second, your cousin. Okay, that's your target. Okay, and for your content, you are going to write about 3 activities. Okay, so now I hope all of you know how to identify the keywords from the question by following the FTC steps. Okay, you can follow these FTC steps when you answer your section B2. Okay, not only for informal letter, you can use this step for all the questions for section B2. Okay, good job class. Okay, let's move to the next step. Okay, in order to write a good informal letter, you must understand the question. Okay, you have to read the question carefully and then you have to identify your target. Okay, if the question says write a letter to your friend, you can choose the gender. Okay, you can write your letter to a boy or a girl. But here, the pronoun him. Okay, if you can see here, the pronoun him refers to a boy. Okay, so for this question, you should write your letter to your male friend. Okay, so it is important for you to identify the gender of your target. Okay, now next step, you have to pay attention to the details. Okay, here you are going to write at least 3 details about the places you visited. Okay, if you can see the word, at least 3. So this will be your detail. This will be your content. Okay, then pay attention to the tenses. Okay, you have to identify the tense of your letter in order to write your letter. Okay, if you can see here, the verb visited will come under past tense. So, your letter should be in past tense. For you to identify the tenses, always look at the verbs given. Okay? And lastly, don't forget your word limit. Okay? As you can see here, your answer should be between 50 to 80 words only. Okay? You can go up to 85 words maximum, but don't write more than that. Okay? If can, keep your answer between 50 to 80 words. Okay? So always remember the word count. Okay? Okay, now class, let's get started. Okay? Do you still remember the format? Okay, what is the first step? Okay, yes. The first step is the address. Okay. Remember, when you write the address, end each line with a comma and put a full stop at the end of your address. And if you are writing to someone from other state, you may include your state in your address. And if you are writing your letter to someone in overseas, you can include your country. Okay? And once you have done with your address, you have to write the date. Okay? So the next step is writing the date. Remember, there are two ways of writing the date. Okay? Here I've chosen the first type. 1st July 2021. Okay, and make sure when you write the month, you use correct spelling of the month. Okay, now our next step is introduction. Okay, as I said before, you have to start your introduction by asking about the well-being of the receiver. Okay, for example, if you can see here, dear Ram, how are you? I hope you are in the pink of health. I am writing to tell you about my trip to Malacca with my school's history club. Okay? When you start your opening remark, make sure you take the sentence from the question. Okay, in here, I'm writing to tell you about my trip to Malacca with my school's history club. Okay, this part is taken from the question. So as for your introduction, you have to write your opening remark. And then you have to mention the purpose of the writing, the letter. Okay? Now, so we have reached to the most important part of our letter writing, the content. Do you still remember? If you want to write a good paragraph of content, you should have a main idea with a supporting details. Okay, always keep that in your mind. Whenever you write the content, you should start with your main idea followed by the supporting detail. Okay, so remember for this question, we must write 3 details about the place you visited. Okay, so here I'm going to talk about the famous Formosa Fort, Maritime Museum and Sate Chalo. Okay, I've chosen these 3 places for my content. Okay, and now let's look at the content 1. Okay, you can always start your content with linkers. Okay, here I've started my content with firstly. Okay, now the content 1 will be about visiting the famous Formosa Fort. Okay, so that will be the main idea. How can you put it in a sentence? Okay, if you look at the example, firstly, we visited the famous Formosa Fort. Okay, that's my main idea. Okay, very simple and short sentence. Okay. Now, the supporting detail, when you write the supporting detail, it should explain about the A Formosa fort. Okay. Do you remember? The supporting detail should explain your main idea by giving details and examples. Okay. Let's look at the supporting detail for this content. Okay, here my supporting detail would be long ago it was a lookout point. Okay, that's my supporting detail. And this explains about the A Formosa fort. Okay, children. So remember, you can start your content with linkers followed by the main idea and supporting detail which explains the main idea. Okay, now let's go to the second content. Okay, the second content which is about the Maritime Museum. Okay, as I said before, you can start your paragraph or you can start your content by using linkers. Here I'm going to use next. Okay, then you can continue with your main idea. Okay, so the main idea here is we went to the Maritime Museum. Okay, that's the main idea. Okay, now for the supporting detail, it should be something that explain about the Maritime Museum. Okay, here the example is it is built within an old Portuguese sailing ship. Okay, it is built within an old Portuguese sailing ship. So this explains about the Maritime Museum. And let's move on to the content 3. Okay, for the third content, I'm going to talk about satay chalup. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to start with linker. Here I'm going to use after that. Okay, as for the main idea, I'm going to write for the main idea, I'm going to write we had satay chalup for lunch. Okay, that's my main idea for content number 3. Okay, the supporting detail should explain about satay chalup. So the supporting detail here is it is a unique Malaccan cuisine. Okay, so this sentence explains about the main idea. Okay, children. So this is how you write your content. Okay, always remember your content should have a main idea followed by a supporting detail. Okay, now let's put them in paragraphs. Okay, if you can see here, each content is written in different paragraphs. Okay, so the first paragraph is for the introduction, second paragraph for content 1, third paragraph for content 2, and the fourth paragraph is content 3. If you can see here, there's only one place in one paragraph. Okay, I've explained about one place in one paragraph. Don't mix it up. Okay, write each display in different paragraphs. Okay? Once we are done with our content, we can move to the next step. Okay? Do you still remember what's the next step? Yes, the next step is the closure. Okay, so for the closure, you will have to have your final say. Okay, for example, I bought you a keychain as a souvenir. That will be all for now. Okay, this sentence shows that you are ending your letter. Okay, so the closure will be your final say. Okay, and you can continue with the signing off and your signature. Okay, your signing off here is your friend, and you write your name or signature below the signing off. Okay, next let's look at this example. Okay, so make sure your address, the date, the signing off and the signature should be on your right side. Okay, you can see this example, the address, the date, the signing off and the signature is written on the right side. Okay, now let's go through this informal letter again. Okay, so you start with the address. Next one is the date, followed by the greeting or salutation, then opening remark, followed by content 1, 2, and 3, and you finish off your letter with signing off and your signature. Okay, once you have finished written your letter, read the whole letter again to ensure the overall flow. Okay, class? So we have reached to the end of the lesson, and let's do a quick wrap up. Okay, as I said before, always remember the format. Okay, for an informal letter, you should start with your address, followed by date, and then your greeting or salutation, then your opening remark, your content, closure, and you finish off your letter with signing off and signature. So remember the format. Okay. Second, you read and understand the question. Okay. As I said before, follow the FTC steps and identify the keywords. Okay. Do you still remember what are the FTC steps? Okay. F for format, T for target, and C is for your content. Okay. Take note of your spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Okay. After you have finished writing the letter, read the whole letter again to ensure the overall flow. Okay. And don't forget to write your word count at the bottom of your letter. Okay. And make sure your answer is between 50 to 80 words. Okay. Don't write more than 85 words. Okay, class. So that's all for today, and I hope you are able to understand the format and remember the general rules that we have learned. Okay, so I hope all of you enjoyed today's lesson about writing an informal letter. Okay, again, I would like to express my gratitude to everyone who helped me to make this a successful lesson. especially Mr. M.G. Kumar, Headmaster of SJKT Sungaiara, Penang Education Department, Penang Tamil School Headmasters Association, moderators, and also teachers of SJKT Sungaiara. Okay, thank you, class.
Thank you, Teacher Rajesh, for the wonderful sharing session on our section B2 informal letter. Okay, students, I'm sure her eye-catching slides and sample notes as well as sample questions are very useful and beneficial to you in future. Thanks again, Teacher Rajesh. Okay, don't forget to join our next hybrid online class that will be on next Tuesday, and it will be a Tamil language hybrid class. It will be at 7 p.m. as usual. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like our videos. The attendance link will be still available even after the class. So for those who have missed it just now, don't forget to register your attendance. Thank you for joining us today. Until we meet again, happy learning, and it's a bye from me.